10 weight loss tips you've never heard before. Hello and welcome to the channel. In today's video, we are going to discuss 10 unbelievably effective tips to help you on your weight loss journey. The most important one I shall reveal right at the end of the video, so be sure to watch right through to the end. So without further ado, let's dive in. Tip number 1, get in the zone. This is actually my favorite weight loss tip. Let me explain. Before you can take any step in this life, consciously see something through, create something from within you, you must first see it happen in your mind's eye. It must gel with your inner reality. Some people call this mind play. I call it reality play, because you want to first consolidate it into your near future reality. Imagine yourself at your target weight. See your friends and family congratulating you. Live the reality of having to buy new, narrower, more fitted, stylish clothes. Picture yourself jumping on a trampoline and marveling that you don't break it. See the bed strings under your bed taut, but not at breaking point. Catch my drift? You must live the internal reality of your weight loss first. Then you will one day see it concretized in your external reality. Tip number 2, the shrink down. Yes, a mechanical key to weight loss is to start shrinking down the size of your stomach. If you can eat a small amount of food just for a few days, the stomach starts to get the message. It will set its own limit for receiving food. Soon, you will be eating smaller amounts naturally. It will be as if you had a stomach bypass operation. If you want to do this cold turkey fashion, which I personally find to be even more efficient, start with a 36-hour water-only fast. It will kickstart the process for you. Then, thereafter, for a week or two, abandon the fast, but continue to eat small quantities each meal. Another way to simply start off with is intermittent fasting. Eating your one meal a day in a predetermined by you window, let's say 4 to 6 hours, and stick to this timetable for at least 3 weeks when it becomes a habit. You can dip in and out of it from time to time to keep your sanity. But in the main, let this be your principal regime. The health benefits are immense. I shall go into further details about this in an upcoming video, so stay tuned. Tip number 3, tummy tone up. This is really a follow-up to tip number 2. The logic of this is, well, it's logical. When you tone up your midriff, you inadvertently build up the cage around your stomach area, the wall in your abdominal region. You tighten up the space available to expand your stomach. It means that there is less space available for your tummy to expand. You therefore cannot possibly overeat without feeling nauseous. Again, the effect is as though you have had a stomach bypass operation. It is fantastic when you start to see results here, because what that tells you is that your food intake will be successfully jeopardized in the future. And it is only a question of time before you start to see results elsewhere in your body. Remember, whatever your weight, you look better with a toned midriff. Tip number 4, cardio up. Yep, there needs to be an element of endurance to your exercise routine. The good news is, it doesn't need to be much. It can be as little as 15 minutes at a time. For the seasoned and die-hard among us, a 7-hour exercise regime per day is not unusual. Whatever your endurance capacity, doing a cardio workout is good for fat burning, for calorie burning. Just remember to keep it enjoyable, so you are motivated to do it on a regular basis. Otherwise, you will soon abandon it. Tip number 5, out in nature. I cannot stress this hard enough. I have seen so many people give up on an otherwise doable sport or exercise regime simply because they only work out at home or in a stuffy gym. Sure, do the gym thing if you have to. It's better than nothing. But do try to fit in stints in the fresh air, and particularly out in the woods, along a body of water, for example a lake or river or stream, and enjoy that fresh air. What this does is it clears your head and draws you into a state of oneness with the universe, much like what meditation does to you. This makes the process more enjoyable and therefore motivates you to do it more, and it delivers fresh oxygen into your lungs as a nice side effect, increasing your capacity for exercise. It's a win-win situation. If you live in a crowded city where you have no parks or woods near you, be sure to take a trip to your nearest nature area, even if it means taking a bus or a train or cycling to get there. Do it for your health. We humans need nature. We are part of nature. We cannot forever be in enclosed spaces. It drives us mad, for one thing. Tip number 6, general tone-up. We have already discussed the abdominal wall specific tone-up to help shrink your stomach. In this tip, we are looking at toning up all muscle groups in the body to drive your weight loss. How? By simply replacing fat with muscle, you are promoting a reduction of body mass index. But take note, the effect is not immediately apparent, unfortunately, because in fact, muscle weighs more than fat. You will have to wait it out for the concomitant body, water, and lymph redistribution to see results. But boy, is it worth it though. Tip number 7, exercise on an empty stomach. Yes, I really did say that. Exercise on an empty stomach. There are two main reasons why exercising at least 4 hours after a meal is a better idea than exercising too close to a meal. The first is obvious. You are simply too heavy during the first few hours of digestion. This is physiologically so, to allow blood flow to be diverted from your muscles to your gut, to allow it to perform the digestive function. Go with the flow. Don't interrupt this function. Do not disturb it. The second reason is to avoid the mesenteric ischemia that happens when you try to force blood away from the digestive tract where it is needed to elsewhere in the body, i.e. to the muscles, because you want to go on a run or go swimming. Mesenteric ischemia means that the blood flow to the gut is reduced, causing pain in your abdominal region in much the same way as an angina pectoris patient suffers chest pain when they try to walk up a hill or climb the stairs, particularly in winter. If you are a runner, you will probably recognize another possible complication of trying to run immediately after a meal. And that is the dreaded runner's diarrhea. If you have ever suffered runner's diarrhea, you will agree with me here. The rocking motion that running makes loosens up the bowel. And before you know it, you are desperately seeking a restroom in the middle of your run. You literally get the runs on your run. It is really best avoided. Trust me on this. And to prevent this happening, leave a good 6 hours after a meal before you go on a run. number 8. Eyes wide open. The temptation is often great to succumb to a good sleep when you are in your rest and digest phase after a large meal. In the first place, try to avoid large meals. That's the first thing to say. If necessary, pace yourself when eating in your window of intake. This helps you to regularize your blood sugar levels and avoid large swings caused by large levels of insulin flooding the bloodstream after a heavy meal. The involvement of large swings of insulin spells bad news for your weight loss plans, because insulin will end up depositing large chunks of fat on your tummy and on your thighs and wherever else you store fat in your body. Avoid this at all costs. Eat reasonable quantities of food. A good rule of thumb is never leave the table without the desire to eat more. In other words, don't get too full before you throw in the towel. Avoid to get to the point where you start to feel your stomach walls stretch. Stop eating way before then. Avoid sleep during this time. You are in a low metabolic state at this time. This is fat deposition time. Best remain somewhat active, but not to the point where you disrupt the digestive process. See tip number 7. It is actually for this reason that it is not advisable to eat at night, because you sleep soon after. It is also why your chosen window of intake should be during the day when you are at your most active, physically speaking. Some weight loss experts even advise doing a light weight training exercise after meals to tone down insulin and simply to stay awake. Tip number 9. Go low carb. Or even no carb if you're feeling brave. We are culturally brought up, nutritionally speaking, on carbohydrates. I get it. We are used to carbohydrates. That's our go-to energy source right from childhood. But carbohydrates, being high glycemic index foods, do attract the large insulin levels we talk about in tip number 8. I don't advocate any particular dietary regime, but in general, avoiding high glycemic index foods helps stabilize blood glucose levels and therefore reduces fat deposition that insulin promotes. A good place to start on your weight loss journey is to simply avoid putting on more weight as you try to work on the weight you are already carrying. Logical, no? High glycemic index foods, the complex carbohydrates, sugar foods, and this unfortunately includes fruits like dates, mangoes, bananas, apples, and the dried foods are actually the worst culprits here. Avoid those at all costs. Tip number 10. As I promised at the start of this video, we come finally to my star tip for weight loss. This tip is actually the most common sense based tip and the simplest to achieve. But alas, it is so often overlooked, which I find tragic. Here it is. Simply reduce your plate size. That's it. Not mind-boggling science, not rocket science, just plain old common sense. By simply reducing your plate size, you trick your brain into accepting smaller quantities of food. Simple. It is so simple. I was shocked to realize how easy it is to overlook. But once you do it, you'll be surprised how fast it works. Yes, I've tried it myself. Trust me, it's a super effective way to effectuate tip number 2, the shrink down. With your reduced plate size, you quickly shrink your stomach volume down, and the rest, as they say, will be history. I hope you enjoy these tips. Can you think of more? please tell us in the comment section below. Until next time, stay healthy, and if you have any questions relating to health, please feel free to ask a doc.